Before the world knew him as Bad Bunny, before stadium lights, sold-out tours, and global headlines, he was just a quiet kid growing up in Vega Baja, Puerto Rico, the kind of place where life moved slowly, where neighbors knew each other, and where dreams often felt smaller than the ocean surrounding the island. His name was Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio, and like many kids growing up in Puerto Rico, music was everywhere around him. It lived in passing cars, in family gatherings, in street festivals, and inside the walls of his home. His mother played salsa and ballads while cleaning the house. His father preferred traditional Latin sounds. But outside, the streets told a different story. Reggaeton and Latin trap were beginning to shape a new generation's identity. Louder, more rebellious, and deeply connected to Puerto Rican culture. As a child, Benito joined his church choir. Not because he dreamed of becoming famous, but because singing felt natural. It gave him a way to express emotions he didn't always know how to explain. Those early moments, standing among voices echoing through church walls, planted a seed he didn't fully understand yet. As he grew older, life didn't look like it would lead to global stages. Benito was shy, introspective, and often preferred observing the world rather than standing at the center of attention. He attended university studying audiovisual communication, but like many young adults, he found himself balancing responsibilities and uncertainty about his future. By his early 20s, he was living a life that looked very ordinary from the outside. During the day, he worked at a grocery store, wearing a uniform, stocking shelves, bagging groceries, and greeting customers who had no idea the young man handing them their receipts was quietly writing lyrics in his head. The work was repetitive, predictable, and safe. But safety has a way of suffocating ambition when ambition begins to grow louder. At night, everything changed. Inside his small bedroom, Benito built his own world. A laptop, a simple microphone, and headphones became his tools. He began recording songs, experimenting with beats, and uploading his music to SoundCloud. There was no grand strategy, no record label support, and no expectation that anyone outside his immediate circle would listen. But there was honesty. His music spoke about real experiences, relationships, struggles, identity, and life on the island. His voice was different from the polished singers dominating radio stations. It was deeper, sometimes lazy, sometimes raw, but always unmistakably authentic. One night, he uploaded a track called Dials. At first, nothing seemed unusual. But slowly the numbers began to grow. Streams increased. Messages started arriving from listeners who connected with the song. Shares multiplied. Among those who heard it was DJ Luian, a key figure in Latin trap's emerging scene. That moment became the first crack in the wall separating Benito from a different future. Soon he was offered opportunities, collaborations, and eventually a contract that pulled him into the professional music industry. But success never arrives without expectations. The industry had rules, especially for artists hoping to cross into the global mainstream. Many Latin artists before him had been told that true international success required compromise. They were told to sing in English, adjust their sound, and reshape their identity to fit broader markets. Translation was presented as the price of global acceptance. Benito refused. He chose to continue performing in Spanish, not as a marketing decision, but as a statement of identity. He wasn't interested in becoming a diluted version of himself. Instead, he leaned into his uniqueness. His fashion choices were unconventional. His public persona embraced humor, absurdity, and unpredictability. He adopted the name Bad Bunny, inspired by a childhood photograph of himself dressed as a bunny with an expression of visible frustration. The name sounded strange, playful, and unforgettable, exactly the kind of contradiction that would later define his brand. In 2018, Bad Bunny released his debut album, X100PRE. The album defied traditional genre boundaries, blending reggaeton, trap, rock influences, and experimental sounds. Critics praised its creativity, and fans connected with its emotional honesty. More importantly, it proved that Spanish-language music could dominate global streaming platforms without translation or compromise. Streaming technology was changing the music industry, removing traditional gatekeepers and allowing audiences to choose authenticity over formula. Bad Bunny became a symbol of this transformation. His next major release, YHLQMDLG, strengthened that message. The album's title, difficult to pronounce and impossible to translate smoothly, reflected his refusal to simplify himself for wider appeal. The project broke streaming records and reinforced his status as one of the most influential voices in modern music. But fame carries weight that audiences rarely see. Behind the celebrations, chart positions, and viral success, Benito faced pressure few people could fully understand. Every performance, every release, every public appearance carried expectations from fans, industry executives, and critics. He was no longer just an artist, he had become a cultural representative of Puerto Rico and Latin music. With that responsibility came scrutiny. His appearance, his behavior, and his statements were constantly analyzed. Instead of retreating from the spotlight, Bad Bunny expanded his creative expression. He entered the world of fashion, appearing on major magazine covers and challenging gender norms by wearing outfits traditionally considered unconventional for male artists. He appeared in films and even stepped into professional wrestling arenas, demonstrating a willingness to explore identity beyond music. He also spoke openly about social and political issues affecting Puerto Rico, including government corruption, disaster recovery failures, and cultural representation. In doing so, he blurred the line between entertainer and activist, using his platform to amplify conversations many artists avoided. In 2022, his album Un Verano Sin Ti became the most streamed album in Spotify history. The project celebrated summer, nostalgia, love, and heartbreak, while maintaining the Spanish language and Caribbean musical roots that defined his identity. It confirmed that global audiences were not demanding artists change their culture to succeed. They were willing to embrace authenticity if it was presented with confidence and creativity. The former grocery store worker from Vega, Baja had become one of the most listened-to artists in the world. Yet his story is not simply about record-breaking numbers or global fame. It is about resistance. It is about refusing to become easier to understand at the cost of losing identity. It is about proving that success does not require abandoning where you come from. Today, Bad Bunny performs on the largest stages imaginable. Super Bowl appearances, Grammy Awards, and international tours have turned him into a global icon. But despite the scale of his success, he continues to center his music around Puerto Rican culture, language, and perspective. His journey reflects a broader shift in global entertainment, where audiences increasingly value authenticity over assimilation. His music became a bridge between cultures without erasing the culture that created it. Behind the sunglasses, the unpredictable public persona, and the viral performances, Benito remains an artist navigating the complex balance between fame and personal identity. The world sees Bad Bunny as a superstar, but his story continues to evolve as he negotiates the responsibility of representing millions while trying to remain connected to the quiet kid who once recorded songs alone in a bedroom. His rise represents more than individual success. It represents a generation of artists who refuse to translate themselves to be accepted. His story is still unfolding, shaped by new music, new risks, and new challenges. But one truth remains clear. The most powerful decision Benito Martinez ever made was not signing contracts, breaking streaming records, or standing on global stages. It was choosing to remain himself, even when the world encouraged him to become someone easier to sell. That decision transformed him from a local musician into a global cultural force. And this is only the beginning of a story that continues to redefine what it means to succeed without surrendering identity.